Hey budget gardeners, Vita Loca here. Join me today as we pot up Dollar Tree Impatiens seedlings. So let's go. I live in New Hampshire. I garden in USDA Zone 5B. My average last frost date is May 15th. Today is February 28th, and I'm 11 weeks from my average last frost date. This is my first year growing Dollar Tree Impatiens from seed. I started the seeds 10 days ago on February 18th. I made a video showing you my process for sowing the seeds. I'll put a link to that down in the description. I've been growing Impatiens from seed for years. I normally grow them from seeds that I've collected. But I wanted to try the Dollar Tree seeds out because it was only $1.25 a packet, and I wanted to be able to report back to you and let you know what I thought of the seeds. After all, for $1.25, you can't even buy a 6-pack of an annual at that price. So I thought it was a good deal and it was worth a try. So after 10 days, this is what the seedlings look like now. You can see that quite a few of them have germinated. You're noticing a mix of vermiculite, that was the non-seed material that came in the seed packet, as well as the pelleted Impatiens seeds, which is how they were packaged. You'll also notice that some of the pelleted seeds are open, meaning the seeds have germinated from them, and then other pelleted seeds still need to open and have not germinated yet. Once I got pretty good germination, what I did was I removed my tray off of the seedling heat mat. I also took off the humidity dome. But the tray continued to stay under my LED shop lights, which are on 16 hours a day. They come on at 5 a.m. and they go off at 9 p.m. The lights are only about 2 or 3 inches above the seedlings at this point. In case you're interested on what my grow lights look like, I'll also put a link to that video down in the description below. I've also started bottom watering the seedlings just to make sure that the soil doesn't dry out. The reason why I chose to heavily sow my seeds in a restaurant takeout container was so that they don't take up that much room under my grow lights. It's a very small container and only the viable seeds will germinate. I found with the Dollar Tree seeds, since there was vermiculite mixed in pretty heavily with the seeds, it was much easier to sow them the way that I did versus trying to sow them in something like a 6-cell pack. And my plan with these seeds, as well as many other seeds that I start this way, is to then go ahead and prick out the seedlings once they've germinated. I could keep the seedlings in the restaurant takeout container for a little bit longer, but at this point I would prefer to prick out the seedlings and then put back the humidity dome and place this tray back on a seedling heat mat just to see if any more seeds are going to germinate. The next size home for these little plants will be 6-cell packs, and they're 6-cell packs that I reuse year after year. If the 6-cell packs are no longer good, I throw them away, but honestly, they're so easy to get. A lot of times my friends or family members, they have 6-cell packs that they're not using anymore, so I collect them that way. Also, there's a garden center near my home that has a recycling area, so I often pick up 6-cell packs from there. I can fit 12 6-cell packs inside of what's called a 10 by 20 tray. And it's called a 10 by 20 tray because of the dimensions of the tray. It's 10 inches one way by 12 inches the other way. And it's a solid bottom tray. And that's very important because at this point, I want to be bottom watering my plants, which means pouring water in the bottom reservoir of the tray and letting the plants wick up the water through their holes that are on the bottom of their 6-cell packs. Even though I had originally planted the seeds in seed starting mix, at this point the seedlings are going to be placed into my DIY potting mix. You can use whatever potting mix you want. I just like to make my own because it's cheaper in the long run for me because I plant so many things from seed. And the ratio that I use is 4 parts of peat moss, although you can use coco coir, to 1 part of perlite and 1 part of fine vermiculite. And once I've made my mix, I just sprinkle the top with a light layer of dolomite lime to offset the pH of my peat moss. I'll be filling my 6-cell packs with pre-moistened potting mix. The way that I pre-moisten my potting mix is I actually boil hot water and I pour it on top of the potting mix. I mix it up really good and then I cover it. And I do that for 2 reasons. Not only to pre-moisten my potting mix, but also the boiling hot water kills off any possible fungus gnat eggs that might be in the peat moss. And once the potting mix has cooled down, then I can go ahead and handle it. So let's go ahead and let's fill up a 6-cell pack just so you can see my process for pricking out the Impatiens seedlings and getting them put into a bigger container. So I'm going to go ahead and fill up a 6-cell pack. It's very important when you fill up any of your containers that you push down. You want to eliminate any sort of air pockets that might be in there. If you don't eliminate the air pockets, what ends up happening is when you try to bottom water, it's not going to properly water, and that's why you might sometimes see a certain cell, like let's say this one, getting wet when you're bottom watering, and another cell like this one not getting wet. most likely there's an air pocket that's inside of there. So it's very important to press down hard but not too hard to eliminate the air pocket. Next, I'm going to just use a pen, and I want to make holes inside the center of each of these cells. You can use whatever you want for a tool. I've just been using a pen for years, and that has worked. And then you want to carefully prick out your seedlings. Now, you can use a pen or you can use a toothpick or anything else that you want. The main thing is when you're pricking out any sort of seedling, you always want to handle it by its leaves. You never want to handle a seedling by its stem, because if the stem breaks, the seedling will die. If a leaf breaks, there's a chance the seedling will still survive. So I'm just going to take my pen, and I want to get right below the plant where the roots are. And it actually has quite an extensive root system to it already. And then very carefully, I want to place the plant in the hole. And you can guide it by getting the roots, and you want to make sure that the roots are beneath the soil level and that the green part, where the leaves are above soil level. You can press down with your fingers. You can use the back of your pen to very gently just push the soil down. We'll do another one right here. And again, we're just backfilling around the base of the plant. It's a bit of a process, but it's a process that I've enjoyed doing for years. And when I do it this way, it for the most part ensures that all my 6 cell packs will have a seedling or a plant inside of them. Because sometimes that can be frustrating when you have a whole tray and there's only 50% germination in the tray. Whereas when you do it this way, you're bound to have almost 100% germination, as long as the seedlings don't just die off for some reason. For the Dollar Tree seeds, it was 1% seeds and 99% non-seed material, which again, I think it was vermiculite is what they used. And I think that that's okay, because the vermiculite just kept the seeds moist. And that's sometimes the problem with growing little seeds like this, is many times the seeds can dry out. This is a process I enjoy doing in the morning when I'm watching some of my favorite YouTube channels. Maybe I'm having a cup of coffee. Then I can just check on my little baby seedlings, and as they're germinating, I can pot them up. In a perfect world, I would wait until they had their first set of what are called true leaves. These leaves right now, these are actually called the cotyledons. And that's just a close-up of what the cotyledon leaves look like. The next set of leaves that will appear, those are called the true leaves. And once the first set of true leaves appear, that's when I'm going to start fertilizing my seedlings. I'll be bottom watering with a half a strength of Miracle-Gro fertilizer. You can use whichever fertilizer you feel comfortable with. The big thing is you don't want to give a full strength fertilizer. These little plants can't handle that much fertilizer. And I'm going to do the same process. I'm going to be filling all of these cell packs with the pre-moistened potting mix. I'm going to prick out all the seedlings that are left in this tray, and then I will go ahead and I will cover this back up. If it needs a little bit additional water, I can spray it, and then I'll cover it back up, and this will go back on my seedling heat mat, because I want to see if there's any more seeds that are going to germinate. Those little whitish gray things that you see, those are the pellets, and the seeds were inside of the pellets, and some of the pellets are still opening where the seeds are germinating inside of them. Here's a tray of impatiens seeds that I also sowed 10 days ago. These were seeds that I collected from my impatiens plants last year. You'll notice that they're actually a lot slower in terms of germination compared to the Dollar Tree seeds. And for that reason, they'll continue to stay on the seedling heat mat with the humidity dome on, still under my grow lights, until they have a better germination rate. I believe there are a few reasons why the Dollar Tree Impatiens seeds germinated much quicker than the seeds that I collected. I believe the number one reason was that the Dollar Tree Impatiens seeds had a pelleted coat on them. Sometimes pelleted seeds will germinate much earlier than non-pelleted seeds, and the reason is because they have been primed before they were pelleted. And priming the seeds just jumpstarts the germination process. Also, the pellet that's around the seed just protects the seed and it helps with the germination rate. So in case you're wondering, should you always buy pelleted seeds when starting seeds indoors? I would say no. In fact, most of the seeds that I start are not pelleted seeds. So I don't think it's a necessary thing to do when you're starting seeds indoors. In fact, pelleted seeds have a very short shelf life. What that means is you should be using those pelleted seeds within 1, if not 2 years, whereas non-pelleted seeds have a much longer shelf life. I think starting Impatiens from seed, be it pelleted, not pelleted, Dollar Tree seeds, seeds you've collected, or seeds you've bought somewhere, any of those are perfectly fine. The key is I highly suggest that you grow Impatiens from seed. It's a lot of fun. It's something that I really enjoy doing as well. Let me know in the comments if you're growing Impatiens from seed, and if so, how are they going so far? I'd love to know. Be on the lookout for more videos. I'll be showing you my process for fertilizing my Impatiens and then eventually pinching them back, hardening them off, and then getting them put in the landscape. And until the next video, make it a great day with gardening.